Do you notice what's missing? The price of food with the incentives. Year one that we did the study, it was number 6. In 2011, it's number 7. Okay? Things like selection of produce, taking part in the community, other activities, events, music, things like that. People love going to farmers markets no matter whether they're from an affluent community, a middle-class community, or a poor community. We all love farmers markets for the same reason. We all want to feed our families better food. We all love, you don't socialize in a grocery store. You got to push the cart. You got to, oh, hey, how's it going? Got to push the cart, got to get to the checkout. You don't do that in a farmer's market. You get to know people. Things happen there. It's magical. So this is what I would like to really help you guys understand. We have New American Farmers Market consumers as a result of these programs. And they're people that you wouldn't expect to see at a farmer's market. Poor people, Latino, Hispanic, Asian, Somali, Eastern European. It's remarkable. But these markets are busy, and this particular market is in what I call a classic food desert. There's nothing but concrete, asphalt, and abandoned buildings. Kids love the farmer's market. And here's my favorite. Here's a young girl from one of our markets eating her first peach ever. Look at that, right? It's beautiful, okay? These are farmer's market consumers, you know? It's pretty interesting stuff. Now, the survey results for our farmers, I think, were pretty compelling as well. They reported making changes to their operations. This is from 2010. It's going to take us a while to get 2011. Farmers are busy. We got this late in the year last year. 10% increased acreage, 12% diversified products, and another 8% added hoop houses. And here's the interesting thing. Someone would say, why would a farmer add a hoop house to their farm? Because of a doubling program? In the early spring and in the late fall, when the sleet is falling and the wind is blowing and the cold rain is coming and white people stop going to the farmer's market, people that are living at and below the poverty level that have encountered both access and affordability at the same place, go. They put on a coat. They'll come with a towel over their head if they don't have an umbrella. They show up at the markets. In the Northeast especially, these programs have actually flattened the bell curve of the revenue of the market season, and we have farmers that added hoop houses. Our farmers, hobby farmers, I don't think so. 63% of them are women. I don't know too many women that have hobbies. I mean, my wife is pretty busy and does an awful lot. She runs my restaurant business. 46% are under the age of 45, which is, you know, much higher than the national average. They run working fives. 68% had gross farm sales of $50,000. Another 23% had $50,000 to $250,000 a year. They sold their products at an average of 3 to 4 markets in 2010. Most of their farm income came from selling at farmers markets and other direct venues. So this is real work, and that's what our programs are intended to support. When you think about it just for a second, all of this talk about grocery stores going into underserved communities, I think it's great news that Walmart wants to go local for other reasons than somebody might think. But I think when someone like Walmart decides that it's important to go majorly public and say 7% of our fresh food now comes from within 150 miles of our regional redistribution warehouses, and by 2015 we want to double that. What that tells us all is that the demand for locally grown, organic, sustainable foods is far broader than any of us ever would have hoped it would have been by this time. When I look back to 1995, when I was making 20 phone calls to have 50% of my cooler have local produce. By the way, now I make like 6 phone calls and 100% of my cooler is from local producers. In 95, when I was ready to quit, I didn't think I would see this type of change in my lifetime. I just didn't think that I would see it, you know? So when I look at what's going on now, these big guys wading in the pond and stuff, and the role that we can play, but it's going to require some courage. So here's a notion. I'm going to blow off the rest of the slide because I don't want to go over time. Here's a notion. Many of us have relied in this good food movement on grant funding Kellogg Foundation really kind of kicked it off when they made the major commitment to start the Food and Society Initiative. If they weren't around, and they didn't do that, would we be at 2,000 farmers markets, 3,000 farmers markets instead of 7,000 farmers markets? Who knows? But grants have played an important role. Kaiser Permanente, the Kresge Foundation. There have been a variety of really great funders, donor-advised funds that have funded this movement. If we're going to get the attention of the rest of America, and if we really think of the opportunities that exist right now in changing school food and being able to provide large-scale employers like Northwest Mutual Life in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, that has 5,000 employees in one building who all have to eat lunch today, if we're going to reach that, we need to start figuring out ways. First of all, grant makers need to have courage because they need to start allowing their funding to be used to finance the infrastructure of a changed food system. Grants need to be able to go for that, for business development activities. I mean, right now I look at, there's RSF, there's TRF, there's Imprint Capital. There are all these social capital funds that have this slow money that they want to deploy. But right now, a lot of the food hub operators, businesses, farmers that we see at the 10 to the 35 acre, who need to not only increase the production on their 10 to 35 acres, but likely need to double or triple the land that they're holding if they're going to play a role in any kind of scale. They also have to invite the participation of mid-sized producers that are holding hundreds of acres of land. How do we all get in the same sandbox and play well together? But if those things are going to happen, we need some of the investment that will allow these businesses to get to a point where they can actually accept money that can be paid back. There's a gap right now. There's a gap between where the infrastructure is right now, the operating capital, the training that people need to really be able to run a business. I'll tell you, we went around the country, our Healthy Food Financing Initiative, and we spent the last 18 months surveying the 100-plus food hubs that USDA identified, and others that they don't even know about, trying to assess which ones actually might be capable of taking a long-term low-interest loan, and the number is 15. 15. The other 85 are passionate people who didn't even come from a food background. They see what lack of good food in our communities is doing. They see what's happening to our kids in grade school with the crap that they're being fed. They see opportunities, so they've decided they want to get into this. These aren't former people from Aramark. So on a wing and a prayer and a couple of grants, they've started aggregation facilities, small value-added processing facilities, trying to change the system. Some of these groups are really $250,000 in a great business plan away from being a $3 million business. So we're challenging the grant community to fill the gap of actually being able to get these businesses and to help farmers that are already doing an excellent job have the capacity to do the marketing like the folks are doing at Full Belly Farm and others, do the marketing, build the infrastructure, respond to the need, get ready, and then we can start deploying some of this patient capital and stuff. For those of you that have been relying on grants, you have to have the courage, once you get to that point, to actually sign on the dotted line and triple the size of your business, quadruple the size of your business. Because let me tell you, if the federal government ever wakes up and understands that the only way they're going to decrease the $500 billion right now that goes to diabetes, heart disease, and high blood pressure, just those three, that doesn't even include cancer, which is largely food-related. If they're going to reduce those costs, they're going to steer money in this direction. If our community doesn't take the step that we took 20, 30 years ago, to do the operations that we're doing now to get to a next level of scale, the big boxes are going to come in and they're going to own that revenue. So it is a new day. I've seen in my lifetime more change in the last 10 years than I thought 10 years ago I would see in a lifetime. So the next 10 years are crucial. So I invite you all to continue to do the amazing work that you're doing, but to also really start to aggregate in ways that you can grow your model so we can start meeting the need of scale. Let's change school food. Let's us change school food. Let's us see Whole Food style grocery stores if there's going to be a grocery store in an underserved community. Let's see farmers markets that are open 5 days a week. Let's see indoor public markets that are only for farmers. Let's see those things. There are opportunities for us all out there. And I think 10 years from now, if many of us are having a conversation in a room, that we're going to have as much progress to share then as we did now. Thank you very much for your time.